Every morning, thousands of F-150 owners sit in their driveway with the engine running, waiting. Some wait 2 minutes, some wait 10. Almost none of them are doing what they think they are doing. The real danger to your engine is not happening while you wait in the driveway. It is happening in a 15-second window you are not thinking about at all, and in a moment right after you shut the truck off that might be doing more damage than skipping the warm-up ever could. Millions of F-150 owners still let their trucks idle for 5, 10, or 15 minutes every single morning before putting them in gear. It is an incredibly common routine. In fact, a landmark 2009 study by Vanderbilt University found that 68% of American drivers believe idling for 5 or more minutes is essential to protect a cold engine. This belief was strongest among drivers aged 45 to 64, with nearly 74% convinced it is necessary, largely because they learned it directly from parents or older mechanics. And back then, those mentors were absolutely right. But that advice was built for carburetors. In older vehicles, proper fuel mixing relied entirely on engine heat. If you put a cold, carbureted truck in drive immediately, it would sputter, hesitate, and likely stall in the middle of the road. That technology is long gone. The United States phased out carburetors in passenger vehicles over 3 decades ago, with the final carbureted cars sold in 1991. Your modern F-150 operates on a completely different system. Electronic fuel injection and highly sensitive oxygen sensors have replaced the mechanical carburetor. Instead of waiting for cold metal to warm up to mix the fuel, your truck's computer reads the ambient temperature and adjusts the fuel delivery in real time, hundreds of times per second. Because of this engineering, the Department of Energy issues clear guidance for modern engines. You need no more than 30 seconds of idling before you can begin driving. Gentle driving warms up the engine, transmission, and differential much faster and more efficiently than sitting in place. The long driveway warm-up is simply a leftover habit from an era your truck never lived through. If you open your glove box and pull out the Ford F-150 Owner's Manual, you might actually find a page telling you to let the engine idle for 3 to 5 minutes. It looks like black and white proof that the driveway warm-up is official factory policy. But there is a major catch. That 3 to 5 minute instruction does not belong to the gasoline EcoBoost engine. It is printed in the diesel Power Stroke section. Ford placed it there to protect the heavy-duty diesel turbocharger after pulling massive loads, where extreme heat requires a long cooldown before shutdown. Yet, in online forums like F-150 Forum and FordTrucks.com, this diesel-specific rule frequently gets copy-pasted into morning warm-up threads for the 2.7-liter and 3.5-liter gasoline EcoBoosts. Owners see 3 to 5 minutes in a Ford manual and assume it applies to all F-150s, regardless of fuel type. In reality, the gasoline section of the manual has no such long idle requirement. It simply tells you to let the engine idle for a few seconds to let oil pressure build, then drive. The multi-minute idle is a classic case of the right instruction being applied to the wrong truck, keeping a persistent myth alive through misread evidence. When you push the engine start button on a cold morning, a quiet mechanical race begins inside your EcoBoost. Almost all the motor oil has drained away. Overnight, gravity pulls the lubricant down into the oil pan, leaving vital components like your camshafts, piston rings, and main bearings with nothing but a microscopic film of protection. This dry state is where your engine is most vulnerable. Data from SAE Technical Paper 2006-01-3413 reveals that between 50 and 75% of all engine wear occurs during a cold start and the first few minutes of operation. Lubrication before load is the real goal. When your engine first fires up, the oil pump must force cold, thick fluid through tiny, restrictive passages to rebuild that protective barrier. This process is not instantaneous. Engineering tests show it takes roughly 15 to 30 seconds for the oil pressure to rise and stabilize at a safe level after a cold start. During these critical seconds, your bearings are under-lubricated. Without a pressurized cushion of oil, the metal surfaces are in direct contact, creating high-friction zones that shave microscopic pieces of metal off the internal components. If you put your F-150 in drive and stomp on the gas immediately after cranking, you place a massive load on engine parts that are still grinding against each other. This is the only warm-up window that actually matters. Your goal is simply to get oil to the bearings before you demand power. Once that 30-second mark passes, the lubrication system is fully pressurized, and you can safely drive away without causing damage. The remaining warm-up is best done while moving. Your F-150's computer is already steps ahead of you. If you plug an OBD2 scanner into a 3.5 EcoBoost during a cold start, the data shows exactly how the truck manages itself. The engine immediately climbs to a fast idle of around 1400 RPM. This is a programmed warm-up cycle designed to bring the catalytic converters and internal components up to temperature. The ECU will hold this elevated speed until your coolant temperature reaches roughly 145 degrees Fahrenheit. It is a completely automatic process. Once that idle speed drops down on its own, your truck is telling you it is ready to go. You do not need to sit in the driveway waiting for the engine to fully warm up. The correct move is to put the truck in gear and drive gently. Keeping your foot out of the gas and staying off heavy boost for the first several minutes is what actually protects your engine. Moving under light load warms up the engine, transmission, and differential much faster and safer than letting the truck sit in your driveway. While letting your truck idle in the driveway on a cold morning is a waste of time, there is one specific moment where idling is absolutely essential to your engine's survival. It happens at the end of your drive, not the beginning. When you are towing a heavy trailer or climbing a steep grade, your EcoBoost turbochargers are spinning at over 100,000 revolutions per minute. The exhaust-driven turbine housings quickly reach temperatures exceeding 900 degrees Fahrenheit. Inside those hot housings, a thin film of oil is the only thing protecting the spinning turbine shafts. If you pull over and immediately shut off the key, the oil pump stops. The flow of fresh, cooling oil instantly vanishes. The oil trapped inside the hot bearing housing simply sits there, absorbing massive residual heat. This extreme heat soak causes the stationary oil to bake or coke, turning it into hard, abrasive carbon deposits. On your next startup, these microscopic carbon crystals act like sandpaper, grinding away at the precision bearings. To prevent this, you simply need to let the engine idle for 60 to 120 seconds before turning it off after a demanding run. This brief pause allows fresh oil and coolant to circulate, pulling the heat away safely. Modern engineering has rewritten the rules of truck ownership. Protecting your EcoBoost is not about wasting fuel in the driveway, but driving gently at the start and letting those turbos cool at the end. Your F-150 is built to run, not sit.